Hey everyone, let's see, who do we have online here? Let's see here. All right, welcome to 3 Simple Tricks to Balance Your Hormones for Better Health. I am Elizabeth Sherman, and let me go ahead and share my screen so that you can see exactly what I am seeing. All right. All right, so hopefully you can see that. I would love for you to give me a hands up. Tell me that you can see my screen. Let's see here. I need to get the chat up in the screen. Perfect. Okay. Awesome, good. Okay, I got your hands. Awesome. So I'm gonna lower your hands. Perfect. All right. So welcome to 3 Simple Tricks to Balance Your Hormones for Better Health. So, you know, when I put this webinar together, because, you know, I don't think that we have enough information as women on, you know, how the things that we do in our lifestyle really, you know, impact how it is that we're feeling. That we're sleeping differently, or that we have cravings, or that we have mood swings and things like that. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to give everyone 3 simple tricks, because these are things that I do with my clients all the time, and they're always like, I didn't realize that, you know, this could make such a difference. So the idea here is that, you know, so often we think that we need to give up our carbohydrates, okay? And this presentation isn't all about carbohydrates, but I think that we can really look and feel great without having to take so much away from us. You know, when the first things that really seem to happen when our hormones shift is that we start to change where our body holds fat. And so I think that so often we want to get a hold of that, and so we start giving up calories and we start giving up carbs, and then things start to spiral. So I really hope that through this presentation, you'll find out how to look and feel great at the end of the day without having to give up anything else. It's really just about shifting everything and being able to just work around what it is that you're currently doing. Because, you know, most of the clients who come to me, they are already doing really good things. It's just a matter of tweaking it just a little bit, okay? So how you know that you are in the right place is if your weight has started to shift towards the middle and it's getting more and more difficult to get rid of. So how many of you, go ahead and put your hands up, if that is you, okay? Okay, I got a couple hands, perfect, good. Or you're feeling like your body is starting to change. And you know, honestly, going back to the weight, for most of my clients, it's not that they want to lose weight, okay? They might want to lose a little bit, but it's about getting control of having your clothes just fit better again, okay? So starting to feel like your body is changing. Insomnia has now become a thing where it was never a thing before, having difficulty either falling asleep or waking up in the middle of the night and having difficulty going back to sleep. And then a few of you wrote in and let me know that brain fog and energy fluctuations were also a problem for you too. So if that's where you are experiencing change, then you are in the right place. Okay. So what you'll learn by hanging out with me tonight is why diet and exercise programs aren't necessarily the answer to your struggles, how to make losing or maintaining your weight effortless, and more than that is just how to feel better in your skin, how to get rid of, you know, the night sweats and the brain fog and all of those other things that just make you feel out of sorts. Okay. Now, this training is not for you if you're someone who has an I already know that mindset. You know, so often we hear things and we're always like, oh, I already know that. But so often we don't actually implement them. And so instead of, if you hear yourself saying, I already know that, what I'd like you to do instead is ask yourself, how is it that I can apply this? How can I make this information work for me and my situation? Okay. Or are you stuck in story mode about why you can't be successful? You know, so often we're like, oh, well, my body's just changing, and this is the way it was for my mom, and this is the way it was for my sisters, so I'm just kind of stuck with this. And so, you know, being open to thinking that there could be other alternatives, okay? Or if you're just unwilling to invest time, money, or attention in actually feeling better. There are people out there who are, you know, stuck in their struggle. And so hopefully that is not you. Okay. Now, stay to the end because I do have a special gift for everyone. So definitely a way to further this information. Okay. But I do have one request for you, and that is that you be present, eliminate distractions. So if you have Facebook open right now, or if you have the TV on or something like that, I would love it if you could just, you know, pay attention here. I would love if you asked questions. I love hearing, you know, what questions you have, and also keep an open mind. So if we don't know each other yet, and I do know a few of you on the line, I am Elizabeth Sherman, and I currently live in Mexico. I used to live in the United States, and through the years, through the last 12 years, I have worked with dozens of women struggling to get their hormones under control, dealing with things like salty cravings or sweet cravings, having sleep issues with night sweats, brain fog, weight shifting. And so in that process, I actually went out and I got certifications in how to deal with this stuff. So I have 5 certifications in personal training, nutrition, as well as health coaching, and metabolic conditioning and how to deal with women's hormones. And for the past 5 years, I've been experimenting on myself. I've been shifting as well. And I just turned 50, and so it's really setting in right now. So I know exactly what it is that you're going through. Okay, so the hard way of getting through this process is working out more and eating less and less. As I said before, you know, we first experience this shift in hormones with the excess weight gain. And so what we think we need to do is double down, and we think that we need to just work more and eat less. And that can be a true recipe for disaster. You know, and so what it can end up doing is disrupting all of these other things that are going on in our lives, like our sleep. So the hard way is waking up and staring at the ceiling and not being able to go back to sleep again, and trying to figure out what is it that I can do, and just trying harder and harder. And I don't know about you, but I know that that doesn't work for me, trying to will myself to go back to sleep. Okay. And then the last hard way is crowdsourcing for diet and exercise advice. You know, if you've ever had a friend of yours who said, oh, my mother-in-law or my husband's sister, you know, did this diet and that helped, or, you know, all of these different remedies that people will, you know, innocently enough give us. But, you know, sometimes it just doesn't work that way. And so after doing this for 12 years, I discovered that everything that we did when we were younger, unfortunately, no longer works. Okay? Our bodies have become more stress reactive, and I'm going to go over that in a lot more detail in this presentation. Calories in versus calories out doesn't work anymore. Okay, well, it does work, but there's so much more to it. And you are not alone, and it's absolutely not your fault. Okay? So everything that we did when we were younger no longer works. Remember the days, okay? See if you remember this. The days when you would just go back to sleep and you never had any problem sleeping. I swear, there was a time when I could sleep pretty much anywhere. I could sleep on planes, I could sleep in hospital rooms, I could sleep over at friends' houses, and nothing ever bothered me. If I indulged too much, then, the next day I would just cut back a little bit on food, or I'd kick up the exercise a little bit more. And unfortunately, that just doesn't work anymore. Problems concentrating were mostly due to hangovers or getting too little sleep. And getting too little sleep wasn't from insomnia, but rather from just staying up too late, maybe watching a movie or hanging out with girlfriends or something like that. And so everything else really wasn't an issue. So I never really had mood swings. I never had lethargy, or brain fog. Weight gain really wasn't an issue, and my emotional state wasn't a problem either. Okay. Do any of you relate to that? Put your hands up if that's something that never happened to you before. Awesome. Good. Yeah, I got about half the hands. Perfect. Good. Okay. All right. So, the truth is that we already know what to do. Okay. You know what it is that you need to do to be healthy. Okay. So, you know that you need to exercise. You know that you need to eat vegetables. You know that you need to eat protein, drink water, walk, stay active, get your vitamins. There's no absence of information. But the problem is that the information that we are receiving is not specific to women over the age of 40. First of all, health information for women is so drastically different from men. I'm sure a number of you, if you have, brothers or a male partner or a father, if you have, gone on a diet with that person, they lose weight almost instantaneously. And so all of the information that is out there is really for young men. And so what we don't see is information that's specifically tailored to women over the age of 40. And women over the age of 40, our hormones are completely different. Our bodies respond differently to things like intermittent fasting or keto. We have to be really specific. Those are two things that are really hot right now. And so we need to be really careful about those different types of health information that we implement into our lives, okay? So imagine waking up in the middle of the night, not in a pool of sweat, or feeling in control of your cravings and what you're eating. That is something that I get from my clients all the time, is that they just feel out of control around food. Imagine feeling calm and centered all day long and not feeling like you're reacting to things, and not feeling like you're constantly out of sorts. Imagine putting your jeans on and feeling amazing. So somewhere along the line, our bodies changed and nobody told us, okay? Nobody told us it was gonna be like this. I mean, yeah, we had inklings, we knew, but it just seems totally unfair. The insomnia, the not being able to fall asleep, the waking up in the middle of the night. I mean, the night sweats are just horrible, okay? The cravings for sweet or salty, our energy swings, our brain fog, okay? And so all of that stuff, is completely different for us. And so we really need to find a diet, an exercise routine, a stress management technique that is right specifically for our hormones, for my hormones. Because my hormones, the results that I get on a specific protocol might be completely different than yours, okay? So the one thing that we do know is that our health habits, They are all connected, okay? So, if you think about, eating, moving, activity, sleep, and stress, they are all just one big cycle, okay? And so if one of them gets off kilter, then chances are that they're all gonna get off kilter. And usually what it is it's the stress one. So if we've set ourselves up so that we're planning our meals on Sunday and cooking all of our meals and doing all of that stuff and planning out our exercise for the week and our sleep, what generally happens is that something comes up at work, or we have a family emergency or something like that where, everything just shifts a little bit and we get a little bit of stressed out. And what happens then is everything else gets off kilter. And so once that stress adds into the cycle, then everything else kind of spirals down. The good news is that we can spiral that up again just by implementing good habits, okay? So all of these health habits are completely connected. So like, for instance, the stress and eating connection, too much stress can lead to emotional eating, but eating improperly can also cause your body to feel that stress, making you not feel good. The stress movement connection is that stress can be a positive motivator for movement, but if we're under a lot of stress, we may not sleep well, and then we're too tired to exercise. Okay, stress can obviously influence sleep because, and sleep influences stress. So that's a huge, cyclical relationship there, that when we're stressed out, we won't sleep well. And when we don't sleep well, we don't handle our stress well, okay? So all of these things just go together. And the icing on the cake to that is also our mindset. How we think about our bodies, the world around us, how we think about eating, how we think about our stress, how we think about exercise and our sleep. Are you someone that thinks that sleep is, you try and get away with less than your body actually needs? If so, that might be something that you might need to change, especially as we're getting older. Okay, so how do our hormones communicate with us? There are about 6 biomarkers that give us insight to what's going on inside our body. And I actually have a flow chart that goes through each of these. So the things that will give us insight into our different health habits is our appetite. What we want our appetite to be is under control. Cravings. So, do we have cravings mid-afternoon or at certain times of the day? Our energy levels. We really want our energy levels to be consistent throughout the day. Our mood, okay, how is it that we're feeling? Are we feeling positive, or are we kind of just feeling off a little bit? And then also our focus, our productivity, and our thinking. Okay, so this is exactly what I was just talking about. And so know that if you've ever dieted or been on a really low calorie diet or cut out entire food groups, you know that your hormones will make you feel terrible. So, and this is a really good time to introduce the fact that a healthy diet isn't necessarily the right diet for us. And I should say that a little bit differently. You can eat healthy foods, but just because a food is healthy doesn't mean that it's the right food for you. For example, excuse me, so I know people, and I think that we can all agree that a vegetarian diet is a really healthy diet, but it's not the right diet for everybody. Vegetarian diets have tons of really great foods, lots of vegetables, whole grains, but there's a certain portion of the population that does really poorly on vegetarian diets. They just feel like they have brain fog and they just don't feel good and they have constant cravings. Same thing is true for the Atkins diet. The Atkins, or what they're calling keto diet right now, is terrible for certain people. It creates brain fog, and those people need more carbs and starches in their diet, okay? So just because something is considered healthy doesn't necessarily mean that it's right for us. So this, let me go back. This is how our habits can influence how we feel. So sleep can influence our cravings, our energy, our mood, and brain fog, okay? Eating will have a direct impact on cravings, energy, sleepwalking, or waking in the middle of the night, okay? And I'm going to talk about that in tip number 1 and tip number 3, our mood, and then also our productivity and thinking, okay? Movement will definitely have an impact on our appetite, our cravings, our energy, how we feel, and our ability to fall asleep. And stress will also have an impact on those types of things as well. So we think often that once I get, down to this weight that I was at before, or I'll get everything under control, I'll feel better. I just need to cut out some carbs. I just need to move more. I need to cut out more calories. But that can be a recipe for disaster. And it may only fix some of the things, and it can cause a worse reaction. So, just be aware that if we cut away too much, we may find ourselves binging or having incredible cravings. So we really don't want to do that. What we want to do is we want to right-size our diet and look at those 6 biomarkers to evaluate whether that is the right diet for us. So the truth is, again, we can't use the same techniques that we used when we were 20 or 30. Those things just do not work for us anymore. And as we age, our body becomes more stress reactive, and it also becomes more sensitive to insulin. Okay? And I'm going to talk about that. We need to balance our hormones, and then after we do that, then we'll be able to lose weight or feel better. Okay, so the calories in versus calories out approach doesn't work like it used to. Now, don't get me wrong. So calories in and calories out is still important, but it's not the only thing that is going to play to how you feel. Okay. There are more non-doing things that matter, such as, for instance, our stress levels, how we sleep, and how we think. Those are going to be so super important. We can't just lower calories, and we can't just increase our movement, because what that's going to do, both of those have a huge impact on our energy levels and how we think and how our body responds. So we can't do those things anymore. Otherwise, we're setting ourselves up for more problems down the line. So the myth is that carbs will make you fat. I hear this all the time from my clients. They're like, I don't want to eat bread because bread's going to make me fat. I eat bread probably 2 to 3 times a week. Actually, no, probably more often than that. I probably eat bread almost daily. So carbs do not make you fat. Too many carbs aren't great for you, okay? But again, it's going to depend on what your lifestyle is like and what your physiology is like, okay? The key to managing your weight is cutting out all carbs, and that is just wrong. And, again, just eliminate carbs. So the truth is that, again, as we age, we become more insulin sensitive, okay? And so carbs or starches are what is going to influence our insulin. But we need them. We need carbs because carbs provide energy, okay? However, too many carbs or the wrong types of carbs, that's the actual problem, okay? And to be honest, that I can't tell you what the right carbs are for you on this webinar. I can only give you some loose guidelines, okay? But we need the right types of carbs and in the right type or in the right amounts. So we become more insulin sensitive. And so when we choose the right carbs in the right amounts, weight management becomes easier and our body doesn't stress out. So I've been talking about carbs. What are they? So what is considered a starch? When we talk about carbs, we're generally talking about starches, okay? So a starch in terms of the vegetables, and so first of all, carbs are a huge continuum. Over on one side, you might have non-starchy carbohydrates like celery, I don't know. And then on the other side, you might have, I don't know, white sugar, let's say, if that were to be like the most glucose producing thing in your body. And so there's a huge continuum of carbohydrates. And so over here on this side, we have what are called non-starchy vegetables. And so vegetables are broken down into two different groups, non-starchy and starchy vegetables. Vegetables that are grown below ground as a loose rule of thumb are considered starches. So things like carrots and potatoes and beets and things like that, okay? Also grains, so wheat, corn, rice, beans beans aren't actually grains, but they would also be starches. And then fruit is also a starch, as well as sugars and desserts, okay? So all of these things right here, all of these starches that we're talking about are going to be under one grouping, okay? So I'd like you to meet my client, Jana. Jana is just a total rock star client. And I'd like to tell you about her. So she says, it's been over a year and I've been able to maintain my weight loss and it's easy. With the simple tricks that you've taught me, I still enjoy my wine and champagne. So if you knew Jana, you would know that she loves her wine and champagne. She will not give it up. And so she says that going out to dinner and being able to have a good night's sleep, be active, and have energy the next day. And so she still eats carbohydrates, but she does them in the right way. And so here is your first simple trick. Okay. So the first simple trick is prioritize your carbs or your starches using the ABCDF method, okay? So we don't want you to cut out all carbs, but we want you to be discerning. And so how do you know what you should be eating and what you shouldn't? Okay, so the ABCDF method will help you keep your blood sugars stable. And I'll explain why you want to do that in just a second. But this is something that you can do even if you're eating out at a restaurant or at a friend's house or anytime. So you can totally use this method anytime. So the A stands for alcohol, the B is bread, the C is carbs, or what we were talking about starches before, D is desserts, and F is fruit. So here's how you implement the ABCDF method. At any one meal, you want to prioritize only one of these. So if you want to have some wine, that's great. You can totally have wine. But then you don't want to have bread, carbs, desserts, or fruit, okay? If you want to have bread at a meal, then you just need to cut everything else out, okay? Don't have dessert, okay? Does that make sense? Let me see your hands. Great, I have some hands, perfect, good, awesome, perfect. All right, I will put your hands down. No, you guys are, some of you are already putting your hands down, perfect. All right, so now what problems does this solve? So prioritizing your starches in this way can solve the problem of brain fog. Oftentimes I find that my clients come to me and they have this brain fog because they've given up all of their carbs. They're like, I can't eat carbohydrates. And so their brain, your brain actually uses carbohydrates to think. And so when we cut out too many carbs, what happens is we can't think that much. Our brain actually does not have a mechanism for storing carbohydrates in the brain. And so it needs to get carbohydrates from the blood system. And so if you cut out carbohydrates too much, that could be a problem for why you're having some brain fog, okay? Night sweats. So what can happen is, and this actually was a problem with me, is that I was getting night sweats. And so what I did was I started cutting out too many carbohydrates, or I cut out some carbohydrates, had fewer carbohydrates in my my last meal of the day. And what I found was that I wasn't getting night sweats as much. I have other clients who find that they get night sweats when they drink alcohol, okay? So again, this is highly customized or specialized for you. You kind of need to play around with it and figure out which of those carbohydrates or starches are going to be good for you at night and which ones aren't, okay? Insomnia. So waking up in the middle of the night can be due to having too much starch in your last meal of the day, because what happens then is that your blood sugar falls in the middle of the night and then you wake up. Okay, and your body is waking you up, telling you that you need to eat. Okay, and of course, limiting the number of carbohydrates in your last meal of the day can, help you with weight gain around your midsection. Okay, so insulin sensitivity. So based on your body type, and there are 3 what they call somatotypes, which you're seeing right here. Based on your somatotype, excuse me, you'll need varying degrees of starch. So someone who is on the leaner side, who is an ectomorph, they would probably be able to tolerate more starches in their diet than someone who is an endomorph, someone who's on the more muscular side. And exercise will definitely help aid your body in the controlling of insulin. So here's a little bonus tip for you, 2 of them actually. The best time to walk is after dinner or after a meal in general. And the best time to eat fruit or overindulge in starches would be after strength training. Okay, so exercise will help you use up your excess insulin. Okay. So as we age, we also become more stress reactive. So we become more insulin sensitive and stress reactive. So how that can play out is with weight gain around our middles. Okay, I've been talking about this. So having those 3 o'clock cravings. Okay, now those 3 o'clock cravings could be habit, or it could be a lack of sleep. There's actually data to prove that when we don't sleep well at night, at about 3 o'clock, our body is going to be looking for energy. We're going to have a huge energy dip. And so if you find yourself scavenging around for salty, carby goodness at about 3 o'clock, it could be from getting a lack of sleep. Okay. Also, having an increased appetite could also be related to being stress reactive or being anxious, nervous, or worried. The number of clients that come to me who are all of a sudden feeling anxious, and that was something that they never felt before, what is just really, it happens a lot, okay? Or not being able to deal with things. So, where'd that go? So exercise is a stress, but not exercising is also a stress. Okay? Eating too little is a stress. Eating the wrong foods can become a stress. Eating too much can become a stress. So all of these things, we just need to figure out what the right balance is. Not getting enough sleep is a stress, okay? And stress disrupts our sleep. So we need to figure all of this stuff out. And then doing too much is a stress. And this is something that I see with my clients all the time. They are just running around doing for other people, and they're not doing enough for themselves. So we can't get away from stress, and you wouldn't want to. You know, some stress is good, but too much isn't. So what we need to do is we need to pay attention to our self-care. Now, there are 3 different types of stress. There's acute stress, and when we talk about acute stress, this is something that happens to us all the time. Okay, so traffic would be considered an acute stress, or, you know, getting a call from, you know, a neighbor that your dog is barking and you're at work. I don't know, just, you know, different things that happen, you feel stress about it, and then they go away. But then there's also another type of stress called episodic acute stress. And this is something that I see a lot in women. And let me come back to this in just one second. The third type of stress that we have is chronic stress. And so hopefully you probably know what that is. And that would be a long-term stress. So something like being in an unhappy job, or being in an unhappy relationship, or you know, having a family illness, something that's chronic that you really can't do a lot of to change the situation. And so going back to episodic acute stress, this is stuff that we worry about. And so I see this a lot with women, that we are constantly doing and constantly busy. And this, we think that we're able to handle it all, but what's happening is that it's building up and building up on our shoulders, and we're not taking enough time for ourselves. Okay, so this episodic acute stress can really influence how it is that we feel, even though we don't feel like we're feeling it. Okay, it's just kind of funny. So exercise is definitely a stress reducer. Okay, we can't just exercise more though, because there's a tipping point with exercise. Exercise can become too much at the same time. And what I found, and I find with a lot of my clients, is that long duration cardio can also negatively impact our stress response. Okay, so what we need to do instead are short, intense workouts, and you don't need to do them too frequently. So things like classes or running long distances or anything like that can actually become a negative thing for us. Because what we need to do is we need to hit it hard and hit it short. And we need to be very intentional with our exercise. Okay, so this is another one of my clients, Ryan. And Ryan is also a fantastic person. She's a rock star as well. And Ryan really didn't need to lose weight. She was already doing a lot of things right. She had just started a new business when we started working together, and was running around taking care of her family, but felt resentful because she really needed to establish new boundaries. And there were times when she was over-exercising and she got a stress fracture, okay? And so what happens when we get a stress fracture, that's kind of our body's way of saying, hey, you need to slow down. And so what happens is then we can't exercise, and then we just get resentful and angry about that, okay? So Ryan says that life can be chaotic at my house. With 3 boys and a husband, and starting my new business, I felt out of control and I just couldn't think. I felt disorganized. Okay. What I didn't realize was that I was completely stressed out. I was handling it all, but I was feeling resentful. Through taking time for myself and starting a morning routine, putting together the right exercise routine for me and my body, and asking for help from other people, I am in such a better place. Okay, so trick number 2 is focusing on self-care. Okay, and I don't want you to think about this as having to do something else. And when I talk about self-care, in 2 slides actually, I'm going to have a list of things that count as self-care. But when I'm talking about self-care, I'm not talking about manicures and massages. What I'm talking about are things that you can do for yourself that will help the future version of yourself. Okay, so spending time doing things that bring you joy. And it really only takes 30 minutes of self-care per day. And if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And that is something that is so super important. If someone asks you to bake cookies for your kids' bake sale, if that's not a hell yes, then it's not. Or it's a hell no. And that's something that, you know, I think is absolutely wonderful about getting older, is that as we age, we feel so much less invested in what other people's perceptions are of us, especially if they don't have any skin in the game. Can I see some hands up for that? Like, I don't care if you want me to do this because you don't have to suffer the repercussions of that. Yes, thank you. Okay, good, awesome, perfect. All right, so this is a huge list of leisure activities. All of these will go towards your self-care. So massage, again, stretching is awesome. Foam rolling, hot baths, contrast hydrotherapy. So this would be in your shower at the end. You go back and forth between hot and cold water. Saunas, laughter, okay, meditation, tai chi, yoga, physical affection with your partner or a loved one, relaxing music, you know, basically anything that you find joy in, okay? And I think that that's a problem as women, that we don't do enough to create joy in our lives. Okay, so what problems can this solve? Well, it can solve sleep because we are releasing our stress, okay? Mood because, you know, it helps us feel better. Cravings, and cravings, again, I think that so often we go towards food when we're not finding enough joy in our lives. And we know that food is bringing us joy. And so we go towards that. Okay. And weight and stress management. So that's what problems taking care of yourself can solve. Okay, so moving on to our last tip or trick, okay? Sleep. We have 2 problems when it comes to sleep: falling asleep and staying asleep. Okay. So falling asleep, so often we feel wired but tired at the end of the day. And that can be from not exercising. So we've been in meetings all day and we have all this physical energy, but we're mentally drained, okay? So that can give us the feeling of being wired but tired, okay? Having trouble falling asleep is usually stress related. But getting back to sleep can also be stress related because of anxiety, worries, and then having that monkey mind where you're sitting in bed and all of a sudden you start thinking about all of these really random things. So those can be the problems around falling asleep. Now, staying asleep is another issue entirely. So, and they're caused by different things. So waking in the middle of the night could be caused by going to the bathroom. So if you're drinking a lot of water, you know what I'm talking about. But when I talk about habit here, what I'm referring to is that sometimes we kind of train our bodies. So if you're having night sweats, if your blood sugar is dropping in the middle of the night and it's waking you up, or if you're having to go to the bathroom on a regular basis, your body might just be used to waking up at a certain time of day, or night rather. So it could also be habit. So it's just a matter of retraining your body to sleep through the night again. Okay, and this is my client Jax. So she came to me a few years ago, and she says that her sleep was off. She was waking up in the middle of the night with an extreme anxiety. She was actually on medication for that. And she said that other times she was waking up from night sweats. Then she couldn't fall back asleep. Once I started paying closer attention to my pre-bed ritual, exercising, and the foods I was eating earlier in the day, I was able to make better decisions and get my sleep under control. I can't say that I never wake up in the middle of the night anymore, but it's a lot better than it was. Okay? So, trick number 3 is eliminating all starch from your last meal. Alcohol, bread, carbs, desserts, and fruit. Okay? So this trick works for night sweats, it also works for insomnia, and it also works for weight loss. And here's another little bonus tip for you. If you are eliminating all starches from your last meal, another thing that you can do is first thing in the morning, go walking or exercise on an empty stomach. It can, if it's right for your system, it can help you to also control your weight. Okay? So I'd like you to meet 2 more of my clients. And what these clients learned in working with me is through having the right mix of protein and carbs and fats in each of their meals. So Michelle says, I was in the break room eating pretzels. She was on a work trip, and she had eaten breakfast at the hotel lobby, and she made the best choices for her. She had oatmeal and some yogurt, and then later in the day she found herself eating in the break room, and she was like, what is going on? Why am I doing this? I had never made the connection before that a meal could influence another later in the day. So everything that we do is completely related. Nothing happens as an isolated incident. And this is an example of that. And then Carol said, by making that one small change at my breakfast, so that was adding protein, I'm no longer crashing in the afternoons. I'm not getting those afternoon cravings like I was before. Okay? So, be aware that we didn't come with a manual. We weren't given any information ever that allowed us to decipher these signals. And working with dozens of these women, there are clues and there are consistencies. Now, there has been so much information in this past 50 so minutes. But the problem with free advice is that we're not held accountable, okay? And we won't do anything with it. We don't value free information because we don't have any skin in the game. And so if these are concepts that you would like to work more with, I'd like to introduce you to, working with me going forward, okay? The Design Your Life coaching is something that is available for you, okay? What it is it's a totally customized coaching experience where you and me together, design what works for you based on your lifestyle, your habits, your beliefs and identity, and then I also provide resources to you to help you through this process, to help you feel good in the end and not have to deal with this. Within this program, there are coaching sessions, okay, and depending on how long you work with me, there's different numbers of coaching sessions, and these help you get back on track towards your goals. Together, we'll set new goals and talk about what is and isn't working for you, and then immediately fix it. Each coaching session is about 45 minutes in length, but it's up to you as to how long those will be. And they're about 2 to 4 a month. Ultimately, it's what is important to you to get the results that you desire. Also, through Design Your Life, you get 24/7 text and email access to me so that we can talk about stuff in real time. So for instance, if you're going out to dinner and you want to find out what's on the menu that's good for you, I have clients who message me their menus all the time, and we work through it together. Okay, or if they're at a party and they're freaking out that, you know, what can I eat here? They text me and we go through it together. Okay, so I am basically at your disposal. It's a completely customized nutrition, exercise, and mindset coaching. This isn't a one-size-fits-all program because we know that doesn't work. Like Weight Watchers and the Whole30 and things like that, they just don't work. And every client journey is completely different based on where you are, where you want to go, what your strengths are, what your preferences are, and where you need help. Okay, so you have unlimited motivation, accountability, and support. Plus, you get access to my private website filled with resources. There's an exercise library in there that has, I don't even know how many different exercises, all with progressions and regressions based on common injuries. If you want to make something harder, there are more ways to make something a little bit more difficult, like lunges. You can do it with weights. You can do it with the TRX. Okay, over 100 live workout. I don't want to say live workouts, but they're recorded workouts that you can work out with me using weights, bands, the TRX, body weight, cardio, abs. It's got you covered. I have recipes in there as well that are all healthy, easy to do, because I mean, as much as I love to cook, I don't like spending a lot of time in the kitchen anymore. And there's also tons of stretching and workout videos as well. And other resources like mindset work. There's a neurotransmitter quiz, which neurotransmitters are chemicals that are in your brain, and if you're low in one of them, they can manifest as having cravings or wanting fat or feeling lethargic. So you can take some supplements that would allow you to do that. Okay. By the way, I don't sell supplements on my own. These would be things that you would take on your own. Okay, now the Design Your Life program is valued at over $1,300, but I have a couple different options if it is something that is right for you. For 4 months, it's just under $2,000, and for 6 months, it's about $3,000. Or if you want to do a monthly payment plan, it's about $550. Okay, and you know, that is no more expensive than it would be for a personal trainer. And personal trainers actually don't even have the experience that I have for helping you with your hormones. They do allow you to get accountable, but that's only with your workouts. It doesn't work with eating. You can get your workouts with me, you can get your nutrition, and it's habit-based coaching, as well as a little bit of a life coach. So if the only thing that this program did was allow you to sleep better at night, I mean, wouldn't you pay for that? You could go to sleep faster, fall back asleep faster. Okay, how much is your sleep worth? Getting rid of the brain fog, wouldn't that be worth it? Or reducing your night sweats. Give you back a little bit more control over your weight. Okay. Or reducing your cravings. But I don't want you to take it from me. Imagine how good it would feel to finally get a good night's sleep. This is from one of my clients, Lisa. She says, it's been slow going, but I finally feel like my sleep is starting to get better. I don't know if it's the new sleep routine or the visualization exercises or just exercising during the day, but my energy is getting better and my brain fog is lifting. I finally feel like this won't last forever. Or imagine how it would feel to be able to go shopping in your own closet and throw away those bigger sizes. Feel great in that favorite pair of jeans, or like looking in the mirror. So this is from my client, Sarah. She says, yesterday I was doing laundry. She just sent me this the other day. She said, I was doing laundry and looking for something to wear. Even though I figured that they'd be a little tight, I pulled out a pair of jeans that I haven't worn in a year or two, and guess what? Not only did they fit, but I think I just found my new favorite pair of jeans. I mean, isn't that amazing? And this is from my client, Jocelyn. She said, hi, Elizabeth, I just finished watching your video story about coming to peace and friendship with your body. I really liked how you named your body when speaking of her, and it really brought to light the mind-body connection or disconnection. It also really made me feel that I can begin to treat and respect my body as I would a sister or a friend. And I think that that's just so special. I love that. Okay. So imagine investing in yourself and being successful. So last night I was at dinner, this is from Jennifer, and I felt so in control. I did everything that you suggested, and when the bread basket arrived, I was able to pass it up. I mean, that's just incredible, right? I've never been able to do that before, and today I feel like I can conquer anything, okay? I love that. And then finally from Kim, coaching with you has been so worth it. Ooh. Has been so worth it. So yeah, just imagine yourself being successful with all this. So now, because you're on this webinar, I am giving you an additional month of coaching, okay? But this is only available through the end of February, okay? And so if you want to find out more about the Design Your Life coaching, the next step is to go to elizabethsherman.com/DYL_app. Okay, let me go ahead and put that into the chat room. Okay. There you go. And so after you fill out your application, and this application is really just to get you thinking about what it is that you want going forward, okay? So after you submit the application, we'll schedule a call and we'll just go through everything and see, quite honestly, if coaching is right for you. I don't want anyone coaching with me that isn't going to be successful. So I will know, and I will be honest with you about whether it's the right plan for you. So when you go to that URL, elizabethsherman.com/DYL_app, this is what you'll see, okay? So you'll see my website, and inside of it is, I think it's like a 12-question application, okay? And then after you submit that, then you can either click the button below that will allow you to schedule a get-to-know-you call, or I can go ahead and send that out to you, okay? So you want to book your one-on-one discovery call now, okay? Because the way I look at it is you really have two options. Option number one is do nothing and nothing changes. Keep struggling, trying to piece together information and trying to get different techniques and not getting anywhere. Or take this amazing opportunity to focus on yourself and feel good again. Okay? I really want you to find success. like all of the women that I've been talking about in this webinar, all of my clients. And you know, there's nothing special about these women. I mean, they're all completely amazing and wonderful women, but they just got sick of dealing with all of these hormonal issues and decided to get help on it. Okay. So maybe you don't think that you need coaching, but maybe you do have a question or two. Okay. Now, just for being on this bonus or being on this webinar and staying until the end, I would love to offer everyone on here a free strategy call. And so what that means is that we just set up a call and figure out what's going on with you. It's not a sales call. And we just discuss general health. And you know, if you have any questions for me, I am more than happy to answer them. So I'm going to be sending out a link to the replay. And when you get that link, just respond. If this is something that's interesting to you, just respond to that link and say, I want to set up my webinar bonus call. And I'll send you the link to that. Okay. So I am done. I wonder, what questions do you have? Does anyone have any questions for me? Going to hang out for just a little bit. Okay, so Lisa is asking, when do we have to schedule our coaching calls? And so those just need to be scheduled before the end of the month, okay? And I just opened up a few more time slots for the calls. So hopefully, if there aren't any available for you, if you're busy or something like that, just let me know and I can put something in there. Oh, thanks, Haley. I love you too. All right, everyone. Have an amazing night. Thank you for joining me, and I so appreciate all of you for being here. Yeah, so have a great night. Thank you, everyone. Bye.